It's time to get inside the Giants huddle.
Let's go, back to your huddle.
On Giants.com.
Tempo.
And the Giants mobile app.
Go.
Part of the Giants podcast network.
Yeah.
Welcome to our Chiefs game preview edition of the Giants Huddle podcast. John Schmeelk with you. Big show coming your way today. Adoree Jackson joins me first to preview the Chiefs, but more importantly, talk about the Giants defense and himself. It's a good interview, not just game preview stuff, but a lot of the good stuff in there as well. Then you have Adam Teicher joining Lance Medow and Paul Dottino. He covers the Chiefs for ESPN. And then we have Joe Judge joining the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa. But first, the Giants Huddle podcast can be found on the Giants mobile app at giants.com/podcast and on all your favorite podcast platforms. Find the subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star positive review. If you know friends that are Giant fans, tell them about the podcast. We'd love to have you on board. All right, let's go to our first guest. Adoree Jackson joined me to talk about Giants Chiefs and how he's improved in the defense so far this year and what the defense did so right against Carolina last week. Adoree, thanks so much for being with us, man.
No, I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, I want to look back to last week very quickly. When you guys sat down, looked at the tape against Carolina, what are some of the things you think you did better in that game than you did maybe a couple of the previous ones that ended up in better results?
I think just having a lot of fun out there and cheering each other on and letting that fuel when somebody made a play, the next person wanted to make a play. So I think building off that and just trying to be consistent and understanding that, throughout the course of the game, maybe ups and downs, maybe 3 and outs, maybe short field changes, and just think about it's another opportunity to play, get better, and to perform, and try to display yourself and who you want to be. So I think that's what we did better last week.
One thing Coach Judge talked about, and also Patrick Graham last week, how you guys worked a lot on some of the more fundamental parts of coverage in practice and in zone in terms of getting the right depth, eyes on the quarterback, breaking on the ball once it's on the air. And you guys played almost exclusively zone against Carolina. You had some man in there, but it was a lot of zone. How do you think that manifested itself in terms of how you executed that zone defense on game day?
Think about communication and everybody coming together and trying to be on the same page, not just having 10 people or 8 people on the same page. You need all 11, and then everybody just doing their job and understanding that the guy next to him or their brother will do their job. So I think that helped out a lot, just by communicating and understanding, all right, this is what we're seeing. How do you see it? And then if we can have a conversation about that and understand, all right, well, they're seeing it like this. Well, this is troublesome for you. This might be better if I help you do this. So just trying to be there for each other, help each other out.
All right, so let's now talk about this week. Unfortunately, you lost one of your leaders, Jabril Peppers, in that game with the knee injury. I know you have other leaders in your group. Logan Ryan's a great leader. But, since I've been here, Jabril's always had just that effervescent energy where you feel him when he walks in a room, right? So how are you guys going to move forward now without him being there with you on the practice field and, of course, in your meeting rooms during the week?
I think just try to be there for him. I understand that, him doing all that he's done, not just for the position group or the defense, but as the team in general. Just try to be there for him and play for him, same the way we try to do for Blake or Rodarius, the guys on the defensive end, that we, appreciate a lot. So I think, from that aspect, just try to make him proud or make them proud as an example of all the guys that are hurt on defense, just try to make them proud and be like, oh, man, they're happy and see us succeed because at the end of the day, they're still a part of this team and they're still a part of us. And I feel like that's how we're going to have to go about it.
Is this when a guy like Julian Love, you really appreciate having a Swiss Army knife like that in the team where he can do a little bit, all the types of things that Pep can do on the field? Obviously, different player, but Love can step in and do those same sorts of things that he can just be there waiting, and now the opportunity is there for him.
No, you appreciate that a lot. Some people may take it for granted or say, oh, you need to learn how to just do one thing or do this, but having somebody that can do multiple things and do them well is good to have because you never know the situation where it may be, or even if you're in that situation, he's able to give you insight of, oh man, when I play it, this is what I see, this is what I do. So I think having somebody that is able to be a Swiss Army knife and do different things is great for not just the team, but for you as a player in general because he can help you out.
We talked this offseason when you got here how Patrick Graham has not made a mystery of it. His scheme week to week can change a lot. It can be a little complicated. How in it are you right now? Are you now fully instinct? You totally get everything. It's ingrained in you, and now you're just reacting? Where are you in terms of being just in this system?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, you got to go out there and react and have instinct, but at the same time, take the its and bits that the coaches are giving you because everything is evolving, everything is changing. It's just like you're playing a game. You might see something in the first quarter, second quarter you might get the same look, and then by the time halftime comes, something different. So now it's like, okay, I got to adjust, and I feel like that's just about the weeks as you're going about defense and the schemes and everything. It's just about adjusting and having that mentally prepared, and I think that's why PG trusts us to do that, and we just try to go out there and execute.
Are you enjoying playing the system? Is it fun for you? You like it? You're smiling. It looks like you are.
Yeah, I have fun and enjoy it, man. Great coming in the building. Happy, seeing everybody, being able to talk to them, not just the players but the coaches as well, and just building that bond with them, and just trying to keep improving and get better, and understanding that we're just trying to showcase and be the best that we can be, and each week just get better and try to be 1-0.
Now, you've been asked to move inside a little bit too. What has that experience been like?
It was cool. I would say it was a challenge, but it was fun at the same time because we talk about, Coach, it was funny because I always talked about getting out of my comfort zone, and I feel like it helped me, as a player. And Coach Burns' birthday was the other day, and he talked about getting out of your comfort zone, and just me coming here was getting out of my comfort zone, doing different things, whatever the team asked me to do, go out there and play some special teams, maybe go out there for the corner when it's punt return and trying to block. So I was just trying to get out of my comfort zone. So being able to play on the inside and do different things just helped me as a player and helped me understand, the game a little bit more and get different aspects, because Logue used to play on the inside. Sure. And, you got Pep, you got Darnay, you got J Love.
Zay can go in there
That's
too,
what I'm
right?
saying.
Yeah.
So you got all these guys who've been in the inside, playing the inside. So every time I'm asking or have questions, they say, they see me do something. Why'd you do it like this? Or they do something. Why'd you play like that? So I feel like it's just great to be able to talk and communicate amongst each other.
Awesome. What was the most challenging part going inside? Is it the two-way go without the sideline there? Is it having to be a little bit more physical in the run support, being in the slot? What was the biggest challenge for you going in there?
I think the biggest challenge, I think understanding the different splits and the landmarks and different things in that nature. And I feel like Darnay Holmes helped me out a lot with that,
And when you say that, when you say different splits, that can sometimes telegraph the type of route they're going to run, right?
So certain splits you can indicate they might – it could be this route, but you just anticipate, you don't guess, and so you just go out there and play. So, and just having that awareness and understanding of, okay, if he does this stem or if he does this stem, it may lead to this. And, and I would say Darnay helped me out with that a lot, and then talking with Shep and Pettis and, having to go against these receivers and understand, like, okay, like, why do you do like this, or why are you playing like this, and what makes you do this if I'm doing this? And I feel like, that's just the great thing about football, just being able to go against somebody and them help you out and you help them out, and then just keep building and keep getting better. So I think, I wouldn't say, it was a challenge, but it was one that I wanted to accept and have fun with.
All right, one of the reasons I wanted John here, Adoree, besides talking about all this great stuff with you and the Giants, was that besides you and Logan are probably the two preeminent Chiefs experts on this defense. You guys have a lot of experience playing them. I think I went back 3 games, 2 in the postseason. Does that sound right to you?
Correct.
So talk to me. What is it like going against Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and all the other real dangerous monsters they have in that offense?
It's I would say a pleasure because you don't understand the opportunity that presents itself. You don't understand the magnitude of the people you're going against, and to be able to play and compete. It's feel like it's just all about competing. So the first time we played them, 17. Came back 19, played them twice. And I feel like it's just always something new, something different. But at the end of the day, it's still a game within the game. And you're just going out there and competing, trying to have fun and trying to win your matchups, every rep. Understanding, like I said, it's going to be ups and downs throughout the game, but try to win more than you lose. And, it's a pleasure and it's fun, to go against a high-powered offense, against talented receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterback, you know what I'm saying? So it's just it's a pleasure, to be able to go against a high-powered offense like that.
Now, I know you guys don't pay attention to the outside noise, and you're smart not to do it, but the big theme on TV this week has been, what's wrong with the Chiefs? Like, what's the problem with the Chiefs? What's going on? As a guy that watches the tape, you know what peak Chiefs looks like. You know what the Chiefs this year looks like. Is there anything even wrong with the Chiefs, or is just that a couple plays here and there aren't going their way?
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. One play may go their way, and then next thing you know, they're up by 40 points. As you see, it's one of those offenses where they talk about turn the switch on or whatever it may be. It just some plays didn't go their way, and other teams may capitalize. But when the plays do go their way, I mean, you see it's a different result. So I don't think anything is wrong with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs and can get after you.
No, I'm with you, man. A couple more things. Their speed.
Mm-hmm.
How does that stress specifically a secondary when you got two guys in Hill and Hardman who are 4-3 guys, can run past anyone?
Right.
How does that affect how you guys have to approach what they do?
Just being, technical sound, fundamental sound, and knowing where your landmarks are and where your help is. I feel like that's the biggest thing, knowing where your help is and knowing the stress of what you're doing. So if you're out there, understand.
Playing the right leverage off of that
exactly.
too, right? Yeah.
So whatever the call may be, understand, okay, well, this is going to be the route that's toughest on me. So try to take away that route and then play everything else. So I think film study, just going out there, putting the reps in, getting comfortable and understanding once you've put in the work and you got the work is already put in, there's no need to, be stressed, to have any fear, have any doubt, because you put all the work in and now it's just game day. And you put all that stress and that fear or whatever it may be that you may have during the week of practice and trying to stress yourself like, okay, I need to do this, I need to get like this. And then when game times come, just go out there and strap it up and play.
And what makes them dangerous to me when I watch them, you have the speed of wide receiver, then you have Kelsey. Right. And they almost operate on two different levels of the defense, right? So if you worry about the deep stuff, then what? Kelsey's going to kill you in that intermediate range, right?
Right.
So is there a way to cover both those at the same time, or do you at some point kind of have to pick your poison a little bit?
I think it's a little bit about picking your poison and just being on top of your game. I think of it like playing like a Kevin Durant basketball. It's like, all right, he might he can shoot you for 60. 70 points, but at the end of the day, you're trying to minimize his scoring as much as possible and do whatever you can. That's a high-power offense.
In order to score that many, make him take 50 shots, right?
Yeah. You just got to keep going back to the drawing board and trying to stop him, man. I feel like, with that offense, as high-powered they are, it's like, all right, they're going to make plays. You understand that, but don't beat yourself up. Don't get too hard on yourself. And just get back to the next play and just try to make them earn it. And I feel like, that's how you have to try to go about the game, understanding that they're going to make their plays. They're going to get their yards. They're going to get a first down. They're going to convert this. They're going to convert that. But you got to go out there and strap it up next play and keep competing.
And they make a lot of the big plays with off-schedule stuff, right? Mahomes scrambles. That first initial route's like nothing for them. It's like the second and third play after the first route tree that they're going to get you on, right?
Right.
So are you you guys all telling yourselves in that defensive huddle before you get on the field, cover the extra 3 seconds, cover the extra 4 seconds, because that's when they're going to get you, right?
Yeah, you just work on plastering because, once he gets out of the pocket or even if he's not out of the pocket, he might just do that little side gallop that he does, or whatever he may do, that backpedal and sling the ball up. You just got to be on your man and plaster, because when you don't or you see, the film, like you said, they say what's wrong with the Chiefs. When you look at the film, somebody don't plaster their man, that's a catch that he may go for like 10. They may take it off for 40 yards.
You're rolling right across his body left 40 yards down
exactly.
the field. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, he does what I try to do on Madden, man.
Absolutely. Turnovers, that's been a big problem for them this year. Turnovers fascinate me because I think a lot of it's luck, right? The ball gets knocked in the air and you can get it. Other times he forces things that aren't there. But as a defense, is there something you guys can do well to help force those types of plays that you can turn into takeaways?
I think what we can do, or when the opportunities present themselves, just take advantage of them. That's what good football teams do. They take advantage of other people's, mistakes or bad football. I learned that in the past. So
is that something that drove you guys nuts early in the year? Because the whole defense had opportunities on plays like that, and you just, for whatever reason, weren't making them.
Yeah, just got to capitalize on understanding that, man, they don't come often. Yeah. And so when they do come, some of them are gifts, like, oh, man, I can't believe it. And you just have to capitalize on it. I think that's one of the things. You don't want to force or stress anything, but just be like sound, fundamentally sound, playing your position, doing your job, and understanding if that play comes your way or you see the look, man, just make the play, and that comes your way.
Final question. Give the fans just a glimpse as a player what it's going to be like in that atmosphere, in that stadium, against that team on a Monday night. Right. It's going to be cold weather. What is it like playing in that environment for a player?
Oh, man, it's exciting. Last time I was there for a night game was 2017. We played them in the playoffs. I think it was a wild card game.
Yep. Saturday night, I think, right?
Yeah, it was off the chain. I would say it's a great experience. It's a great time. It's going to be fun, exciting, and man, if you're going to be there, put some warm clothes on because you're going to be sitting in the cold.
And some blue clothes too, right?
Yeah, put that blue on. Yeah, put that Giants on.
Hey, Giant fans travel well. Adoree, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Best of luck on Monday night.
Appreciate you. Take care.
That's Giants quarterback Adoree Jackson. Don't miss out on the return of New York Giants football. The 2021 season is now underway, but there is still time to secure your season tickets and root on your Giants right here at MetLife Stadium. Speak with its Giants ticket representative now and become a season ticket member by calling 888-NYG-1925. Now we're joined by Adam Teicher. He had a chance to talk to Paul Dottino and Lance Medow. He covers the Chiefs for ESPN.
After 2 straight home games, the Giants head back on the road for a Monday night showdown with the Chiefs. And to get more into Kansas City and what to expect out of Andy Reid and company in Week 8, we are now joined by Adam Teicher, ESPN NFL Nation reporter for the Chiefs. Adam, you got Lance Medow and Paul Dottino here. Greatly appreciate the time today. How's everything on your end?
Good. How you guys doing today?
We're doing very well and looking forward to this Monday night game. And I never thought that we'd start off this conversation, Adam, entering Week 8, talking about the Chiefs at 3-4, considering how well they've been playing over the last few years. But you look at the numbers, my goodness, they lead the NFL with 17 takeaways, tied for the worst turnover differential in the NFL at -10. They're moving the football. The offensive numbers show it, Adam. The eye test shows it. I don't need to convince you. So how much are the turnovers the main reason behind why that's not matching the point total and also the result of these games?
Well, hey, if the Chiefs had a better turnover ratio, they'd have a better record. There's no doubt because, up until last week in Tennessee, they had been, when they hadn't been turning it over, they've been scoring points. I mean, they still were scoring points at a pretty high rate despite the turnovers. But last week in Tennessee, they turned it over 3 times, but they could have not turned it over at all, and they still wouldn't have won that game. So, that last week was kind of its own special deal, and the Chiefs probably they're not going anywhere without fixing this turnover problem. They're not good enough on defense to overcome. Basically, I think it's 15 turnovers in the last 5 games. They're just not good enough on defense to overcome that. So the Chiefs are going to have to put up a big number every week in order to win a game. And last week they were held to a field goal, so clearly not good enough. So, it's just one of those deals where they're going to have to figure this out if they're going to get serious about this season.
Adam, there's no doubt that turnover ratio is the number one statistic that's going to swing a win or a loss either way, but we all know on the football field the game starts in the trenches. And this Kansas City offensive line, which was totally rebuilt after they were embarrassed by Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, just has not come together this year. Why do you suppose they're having so many problems?
Well, that's a pretty long story. They've actually played well with the 3 interior positions. It's a tackle. They've had a little bit of a problem. They replaced their right tackle a couple of weeks ago. Mike Remmers will make his 3rd start of the season at right tackle. They benched the other guy, Lucas Niang. Their left tackle, Orlando Brown, is still trying to establish himself as a left tackle. It's not going really well. Pat Mahomes hasn't helped things. He tends to drift in the pocket, and that's caused some problems as well. So the Chiefs have a lot to figure out here. The coordination between the quarterback and the offensive line just hasn't been there. So it's crazy that the opponents are not. Opponents aren't blitzing the Chiefs. That's been a problem. Pat Mahomes has picked that apart over the years. So teams have quit blitzing the Chiefs. The Chiefs had 44 dropbacks against Tennessee last week. The Tennessee blitzed 1 time, and yet the Titans got pressure on 18 of those dropbacks. So that tells you a little bit about where things are for the Chiefs with their pass protection. It's not syncing up right. For the season, teams are blitzing the Chiefs just 13% of the time, but they're getting pressure 36% of the time. So things aren't adding up for the Chiefs that way, and that's probably job one. They're going to have to figure that out on offense before they're going to stop the turnover problem and get this thing turned around.
Adam, when we talk about the Chiefs' offense, we always focus on the talent around Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill certainly have been delivering over the last few years. But if you're pointing out the fact that teams are not blitzing them, I'm curious your perspective as to the necessity of a third and fourth option perhaps developing and producing more consistently? Because I know a lot of people talked about McCole Hardman. Maybe this could be a breakout year. And then Byron Pringle, I think we've seen flashes, but I don't know necessarily if I would view him as a guy that's putting fear in opposing defenses. So how imperative is it, if defenses are not going to be aggressive towards Mahomes, that somebody not named Hill and Kelsey starts to step up more consistently?
Yeah, that is a big thing. The Chiefs are going to need that as well, and that's why they signed Josh Gordon a couple weeks ago. He hasn't played a lot yet. He's played some, but it's not been a consistent thing for sure. And that's not that's a surprise, because he got here so late in the middle of the season, so he's still figuring out exactly what to do. But that was the idea behind Josh Gordon, because none of the other receivers the Chiefs have given have proved they can be a consistent number 2 receiver. So the hope for the Chiefs is that Gordon can be that guy. We'll see if he develops into it.
Of course, Edwards-Helaire with the knee injury, that impacts the running game significantly. And when you consider their lead running back is out of the lineup and the offensive line hasn't necessarily done its job, I think that tells you why the ground attack has been sporadic at best.
Yeah, they've been behind a lot, and they've, I think, as Andy Reid usually is, he's too quick. He's been too quick to give up on the running game. I mean, that can that can be a quarterback's best friend, particularly one who's not playing as well as he has before. So I think the Chiefs, that's something that could help the Chiefs, is being a little more patient with the run game. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire won't play on Sunday, but I feel like their other backs, and Darrell Williams in particular, are capable of doing what they would normally get from Edwards-Helaire. Darrell Williams had a nice game a couple weeks ago in Washington. And it's sort of been a nice all-purpose back. Chiefs don't have to take him off the field. He can play short yardage, goal line, third downs, regular down and distance, whatever you want. He can handle that. So I feel like the Chiefs need to ride him a little more. That he's capable of taking pressure off an offensive line that's struggling to pass protect, and a quarterback who's had his problems of late.
Adam, I'm interested that you mentioned him, because I thought that McKinnon, over the earlier part of his career with Minnesota and San Francisco, had been a reliable target in the passing game out of the backfield, but that doesn't seem to be what Kansas City's doing with him.
No, I mean, they're using him some, and he's when they've gotten him the ball, it's been more often this year as a receiver than as a runner. There is that, and he plays a little bit of a role, but and again, it's more as a receiver than as a runner, but not a huge role. He was kind of the third back until Edwards-Helaire got hurt. He played some in Edwards-Helaire's absence, but it's been mainly Darrell Williams, and I expect that to continue as long as Edwards-Helaire is out. That it'll be more Williams than McKinnon.
We're talking with Adam Teicher, who covers the Chiefs for ESPN. Adam, we talked about the turnovers on offense, and when your offense keeps that up, it's a big problem when your defense can't get off the field, and this seems to be the combination right now for Kansas City. I know they've had Chris Jones, they've had Frank Clark in and out of the lineup. There's been obviously issues in terms of stopping the run, a lot of problems, but if you could best assess what exactly is plaguing this defense right now, what would you put your finger on?
Well, I'll start off by saying that there is nothing this defense is doing consistently well. Nothing. There's not one thing they can take from week to week where they can say, okay, we're going to do this well, and we know it, so we can build around that. I mean, they're across the board been bad, whether it's red zone, third down, rushing the quarterback, run defense, coverage down the field. I mean, everything's been bad. They've blown a lot of coverages. They've had trouble lining up on time in certain plays. I mean, it's just been a just complete disaster on defense. Having said that, if there's one thing that the Chiefs have to fix, I can't see them improving significantly on defense without this. That's improving their pass rush. They are tied for last in the league with only 8 sacks. They are right near the bottom in pass rush win rate, about 35%. This has to get better. I don't see the Chiefs going anywhere with this defense unless they can put more heat on the quarterback. But it's just been totally ineffective as a group. They're just inability to do that has really killed the Chiefs. They've given up a lot of third and longs because they just can't get pressure on the quarterback. It's they played against a series of good quarterbacks, and guys have been beating them because the Chiefs aren't getting them off his spot. They aren't affecting him at all. And so, the Chiefs are paying a lot of money to Frank Clark and to Chris Jones to rush the quarterback, and between the two of them, they have 2 sacks all season long. Clark has none. And both of them have missed some time because of injuries, so it's not like they've been in the lineup every week, but still, the Chiefs are expecting more from both those guys and from some of their complementary players, too, and it just hasn't been there. They've just been totally ineffective with the pass rush. And I gave you the numbers earlier. Last in the league in sacks, one of the lowest teams in pass rush win rate, and even at that doesn't tell you how ineffective they've been. They've just been totally stoned, basically, on a lot of pass attempts.
Well, the worst part about that, Adam, it's not just that they're ineffective getting after the quarterback, but Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, who we have so much respect for, I don't know a person in football who doesn't love this guy and marvel at his defensive creativity. I remember with the 2017 Giants, all right, they had Vernon and Pierre-Paul, and they still only had 27 sacks that year, and that defense got shredded to the tune of a team that finished 3-13. And they gave up a lot of leads in the fourth quarter simply because no matter how creative he was, they couldn't get to the quarterback. The Chiefs this year are blitzing over 30% of the time, top 6 in the league in blitz percentage, and they still can't get home, which means your secondary is going to be left out to dry. I don't know what Spags can do.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not all on him. I think he's got a hand in this, but there's a lot of guys just not playing well. And, last week in Tennessee, the game plan was to stop Derrick Henry. Don't let Derrick Henry beat you, and that's what the Chiefs did. I mean, they stopped Derrick Henry, 29 carries, 86 yards, less than 3 yards a carry, but that didn't matter. The Chiefs could not pressure Ryan Tannehill, a high-quality NFL quarterback. And he basically had time whenever he wanted. He just sat back there and could pick and choose what he wanted to do, and he put the ball right on the money. And the Chiefs were unable to cover one-on-one. That was sort of they carried out Spagnuolo's his game plan. They played it like they were supposed to. I mean, they stopped Derrick Henry, but they couldn't get the rest of it done. And I guess that's my point about the Chiefs defensively. They're not good enough to stop everything opponent brings. They've got so much weakness. They can maybe say, hey, listen, this week, this is what we're going to prevent. But it's a hope and a prayer with all the other stuff that a team might bring. So, depending on what the Giants bring on Monday night, the Chiefs did have success in one game against one opponent defensively, and it was against Washington with a backup quarterback a couple weeks ago. Other than that, it's been a total mess for the Chiefs when they've run up against a team with a quality quarterback and some quality weapons.
Adam, before we let you go, whenever there is a trip to Kansas City for any team, we have to bring up the atmosphere of Arrowhead Stadium. I was actually reading the Chiefs had never lost 3 straight home games with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback. They're on a 2-game skid at home this year, and a lot of that contributes to a lot of the factors we talked about. Given the fact that this team's been on the road the last 2 weeks, what are you expecting on Monday night in terms of how much the home crowd it may play a significant role, given how much they're itching for a W at home?
Well, if the Chiefs play decently, at least to start the game, the crowd will be into it, and the Chiefs will get some boost from that, I'm sure. But hey, there's a lot of frustrated fans that did not expect this or sign up for this. So if things go badly, we've seen some boos at Arrowhead this year, and I would expect that the crowd would turn on the Chiefs if things don't go their way. And I'll say this. Arrowhead can be a home field advantage for the Chiefs, but under Andy Reid, the Chiefs have been, I would argue, they've been a better team on the road for whatever reason than they have at home. Their record might not be as good on the road as at home, but it's probably pretty close. And for whatever reason, I just think the Chiefs have been a better road team. I can't put my finger on it, but over the years, at least since Andy Reid's been here, that's been the case. So again, not that Arrowhead can't be an intimidating place for opponents, but it's not been a place where opponents haven't done well either.
Adam, I don't want to overlook special teams because if I do, Jeff Fiegels will never forgive me. Hartman and Pringle are doing a great job on kickoff and punt returns. We know about Butker. Townsend's a terrific punter. It seems to me that that's the one unit that the Chiefs don't have to polish up at all. They've been playing very well. Coverage units have also been good.
Yeah, they've done a very good job, but the problem is they're turning it over so much they don't punt much, and so seriously, I mean, you look at the Chiefs, they've hardly punted at all this year, and they had a game against Philly a couple weeks ago where neither team punted. That's how bad the defense was in that game, how much the offense is dominated. So Chiefs scored a touchdown on every one of their possessions, they didn't just score. They scored a touchdown on every one of the possessions except the ones that ended in turnovers. That's kind of where the Chiefs are this year. So, the Chiefs have done a nice job at times on special teams, but it hasn't made much of a difference. They're so weak in some of the other areas that it's kind of a moot point there.
He is Adam Teicher, who covers the Chiefs for ESPN. Adam, looking forward to the Monday night game. Greatly appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Adam.
Hey, good stuff, guys.
That's Adam Teicher from ESPN. Again, covers the Chiefs. The Delta variant is spreading quickly in all areas of New York State. People who are not fully vaccinated or at greater risk from COVID-19, protect yourself, get vaccinated. Visit ny.gov/getvaccinated or talk to your healthcare provider. Taking all the action of Giants football from your very own private suite. Giants suites are a great way to entertain the family and friends while rooting on your Giants right here at MetLife Stadium. Speak with a Giants suite representative now by calling 888-NYG-1925. Our final interview is with the head coach of the Giants, Joe Judge, who spoke to Bob Papa.
As always, we're joined by the head coach of the New York Giants, Joe Judge, tonight here in Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs team, a talented team, a team I know you have a lot of respect for with them having gone to the last two Super Bowls. They've struggled a little bit this year, but they're still dangerous, obviously. When you watch Mahomes and look at them, what they do offensively, what are some of the do's and don'ts that you have to adhere to in this game?
Well, I think you start off number one with you can't get beat deep. And that's something they do every game. They find a way to get a guy behind a safety or over a corner. You've got to be very conscious on every play not to get beat deep because it could be a short pattern, it turns into a scramble, and they extend it going vertically down the field, or they're going to take their shots calculate throughout the game. But you talk about the first thing is you can't get beat deep. And then number two, you got to play with good discipline and play through the duration of the play. And there's going to be a lot of loose plays and scrambles. It's just how this guy plays, extremely talented, and you've got to play the entire play through. You can't assume it's over because a receiver throttles or shuts it down because all of a sudden they'll turn it right back on when they realize the play's going themselves.
Coach, they've lost 2 in a row at home, which is foreign territory for them. Primetime game, talk about like the first 5 to 7 minutes of this game and really just trying to make sure you get it stabilized and then sort of drag it out a little bit.
Well, first off, we expect their best football. We expect everybody's best football, but we definitely expect their best football. And look, I've been in there a couple times on different teams. And you play these guys at night, specifically on Monday night, they're going to be out there juiced and ready to go. When the lights come on, these guys play their best. They're very, very talented. It's a very prideful group as well, so they're very conscious of what the outside world's saying. They'll come out, ready to roll as a team. When you go out there in these situations, you've got to go ahead and just function throughout the week to prepare for what you're going to see in the game. And whether that's the noise or the elements, we've been fortunate this week to have some wind and some rain, things that help us prepare. But in terms of the first few minutes, you've got to let the adrenaline settle down. And you got to make sure that you don't do anything to hurt yourself schematically by having a miscommunication or a busted assignment. So you've got to take the adrenaline out of it a little bit. And then as the game goes on with this team, you've just got to go in and understand it's always a 60-minute game. With these guys, it doesn't matter if you're up 3 scores. That's 3 plays away from tying you. These guys are a very good team. It's going to be a 60-minute game regardless. So we've been preparing our guys all week to go in there with that mindset of whatever it takes. We got to grind this thing out. It's going to take every bit of 60 minutes or more if needed.
Coach, Mahomes can make a lot of off-schedule plays. Talk about the discipline that your back end needs to play with in this football game when he does break contain, because he's going to throw it from any angle.
So it starts really up front before you even get to the back end. So the rush lanes are critical to make sure you can contain and keep him in the pocket. It's easier said than done. But when he escapes, you've got to make sure that you can go ahead and lose that ground again to recapture him, get him back inside where your help's coming from. It's important not to run by the passer on the edge. It's important not to open up the internal lanes where he pulls the ball down a lot and just runs vertically up the field. But then it ties into the back end in terms of just vision on your man and understanding that you've got to look at your man down the field and play through your man. His eyes and his hands come up to tell you when the ball's coming. But if you get in the habit of looking at your man, turn around, swinging your head, and peeking where the quarterback's at, that's when they counter back and they make a lot of plays, and guys lose the receivers late down the field. You just have to have discipline and know who you're covering. Rushers rush, cover guys cover.
Other side of the ball, you're going to have Sterling Shepard back in the lineup. You hope to have had him last week. You didn't, but you still put 25 points up on the board last week. Just talk about having him back and what you've seen out of your offense as far as the growth, considering the fact that you've had to play a lot of people up front.
Well, I think the moving parts we've had offensively between the bigs and the skill players has been encouraging because we're developing a large part of the team and bringing guys along. To be able to go out there last week and have production from a lot of different guys, that was important for us. Having Sterling back in the lineup this week obviously adds an element to the game that, he brings a lot of juice and experience and playmaking. We've got to make sure we facilitate and get the ball in his direction and let him go ahead and make plays. That being said, it's going to take more than one person. Everyone's got to step up and make plays. We've got to make sure we catch the ball, secure it, and we've got to get vertical and make plays in space. And that was something we did last week to extend some plays and gain some yards. We have to be able to do that tonight and go out there and extend drives by converting on third down, finishing in the right area, but taking our opportunities for shots when they come our way.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones played with a lot of poise last week. Everyone talks about the catch that he made and all that other stuff, but it was a play before that where he uses time with his legs, gets out in space, and then dumps it off to Booker, and you wind up getting a really positive play. Is that some of the growth that you've seen in him as a player, just understanding all that and then making a big play happen by doing a smart thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk to our guys all the time, and specifically Daniel, about, hey, take the profit. Take what the defense is giving to you. We don't have to force a play. We don't have to force it down the field all the time. We've got good runners with the ball underneath with the backs, the tight ends in certain situations. Just take the profit. When they give you something, go ahead and take it. And he did a good job on that play of extending out the play. It was a third down, a longer situation. He recognized that Book slipped off, was open, just went ahead and gave him the ball, let Book make a play with his legs. And there's other times as well. He's made some of the best plays he's made this year were throwaways to avoid sacks, put us in a long yard situation, or when he's decided to pull the ball down and just take the quick profit for a couple yards and put us in a better situation ahead of the stick. So with the quarterback's about facilitating the offense, and the decisions you make aren't always the ones you recognize on a stat sheet. A lot of times it's the ones you make that keeps your team out of a bad situation.
Final question. You're going against Andy Reid, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. You've competed against him many times before. You probably were still in high school when he was first named head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, the area that you grew up in. Just give us a sentence or two on what your feelings are toward Andy Reid.
Well, I was in high school when he first became the head coach of the Eagles, and I have a lot of respect for him.
And you're a young guy.
Well, I have a tremendous amount of respect for how he is as a coach, but even more so as a person, and the way he handles his team, prepares his team. This team's one of the best in the league every year, not by accident, but by how he's assembled the players around it with very great amount of talent, but also that fit what he wants to do schematically on all three sides of the ball. I think when you talk about Andy as a coach, this is the best offensive coordinator in the world. And Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator. I got you on that, and he does a great job. He really does, and him and Andy work together on this. But when I think about Andy specifically, it's this guy does a better job of, I think, anybody else in the world of identifying what you're in, figuring out your game plan, and making adjustments. And when you play the Chiefs or any team that's Andy Reid, you have to understand that there's going to be a game plan in the first half that's going to emerge, and then there's going to be the adjustments that come in towards the middle of the second quarter and through the second half, that they're going to find what you're doing, and they're going to make adjustments that are going to put you in a position that you have to adjust as well. So you've got to anticipate some of his answers, and that comes really through studying people in the past of what they've done through different things, man or zone, blitz, pressure, drop for coverage, whatever it may be. How's his answers been in the past? And when you study people enough, you figure out that there's tendencies in terms of what they go to in their comfort zone, but it's always unique to who you have available and how they're trying to match up your personnel. So you have to identify how he's mismatched people in the past and maybe replicate some of the skill sets of your players or scheme-wise what you're doing. But you just know that he's going to be very, very inventive. He's going to pull some kind of wrinkle out that you have not seen. There's going to be several things, especially in the red area, that there's no way of finding it on tape because they've never ran it before. And it may be a familiar scheme that looks completely different when you initially see it. And you've got to be ready to go out there and play with your eyes, play your keys, play with good, just concepts and make the play. But in terms of, Coach Reed, I think everyone in the league has a tremendous amount of respect for him and what he's done as a coach, what he's done for the players, and what he's done for the game of football.
Coach, we appreciate a couple of minutes. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
The Joe Judge interview is brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. More of Bud Light Giants Game Day after this time out on the WFAN Giants Radio Network, driven by the Hess Toy Truck.
That's Giants head coach Joe Judge. We thank him and all of our guests for joining us on the Chiefs preview edition of the Giants Huddle podcast. The Giants and Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Enjoy the game, everybody. We will see you on Monday for another Big Blue Kickoff live at 12:30. Then, of course, we'll have our reaction to the Giants-Chiefs game on Monday night with Madeline Burke and Sean O'Hara. I'm John Schmeelk. We'll talk to you on Monday on the Giants Podcast Network.